You skipped it, you dissed it, you said it's a bore. But what if that film's got a little bit more? What if I don't like it? What if it's bad? What if it's awkward or lazy or sad? But what if it's genius, a total surprise? What if it's gold when I open my eyes? We're watching the films you love to avoid. Now sit down and deal with your cinephile void. What if I don't like it? Let's give it a spin. You might hate it or love it. Let's dive right in.
What if I told you there's a 90s family movie that opens with a kid getting trapped inside a board game for 26 years? And when he finally comes out, he is a bearded, jungle-hardened Robin Williams, fully mad, running from mosquitoes and carnivorous plants. Well, that's Jumanji. And I get why you might have skipped it. Maybe you were picturing dated CGI animals, or you think that it's just complete chaotic kiddie chaos. However, these prejudices might be causing you to miss out on one of the weirdest, most intense adventures of the decade. In '95, Jumanji was a huge deal. It was a special effects milestone. Industrial Light and Magic, the same people who did Jurassic Park and Star Wars, went all out, creating some of the most ambitious CGI of the decade. They blended early digital effects with real physical set pieces, and a lot of it still feels weirdly real, believable. Plus, it's darker than people really remember. There are actual high stakes, danger, consequences for people's actions in a kids' movie. And Robin Williams playing it with a mix of humor, heart, and the I have seen things energy really gives the whole thing emotional weight, much more than you would expect just looking at Jumanji on face level. So if you've been skipping out on this film because you think you know what it is, you might be missing a clever, surprisingly tense adventure that's way more than a kid's film. Worst case, you confirm your suspicions. Best case, you might find out that stampeding rhinos, man-eating plants, and Robin Williams in full Bear Grylls survival mode is actually your kind of chaos. So, you can either keep rolling your eyes or roll the dice and join Scott and I on an episode that is very special today about the film Jumanji after having just gone to the 30th anniversary spectacular that they held in Keene, New Hampshire. Welcome to the episode. I am joined for the first time en visage with Scott, my husband Scott, who you guys have heard in previous episodes before and is now here to discuss with me a very strange movie and a very strange experience that we had around it. We're here to talk about Jumanji.
It's a classic.
It is. And not to be confused with Jumanji New World and Jumanji Next Level, which come out much later. We're talking about Jumanji 1995, the original one, which I had definitely seen. You had not until now.
This is sort of an apt what if I don't like it, because I hadn't ever seen it over the years. And it falls in the category of one of the movies that I wasn't actively avoiding, but kind of just hadn't. It felt maybe a little too like kid-like for me when I was in college when it came out, and it seemed like a little kid's movie. I liked Robin Williams though, because like he had been in Fisher King, which is one of my favorite movies, and there was the initial thing in the '80s where he just was like the buffoon, out of control comedian, and I didn't love that, but like he had done a lot of other good stuff, so I had a good impression of him by then. But I think it was sort of it seemed like a kiddie movie. And I'm not sure it is.
Well, I think on its face value, that's a pretty reasonable assumption to make. In 1995, this movie is coming out. It's based on a picture book for children that is illustrated by the person who also wrote it. And to be fair, the original Jumanji does not have, the book Jumanji does not have the older characters that we get in the movie, the Alan and Sarah characters, Robin Williams and Bonnie Hunt. In the book, no one gets trapped inside the game for decades. Spoiler alert, the children's book is not that way.
I was going to
So
say,
I think you would
some of what made me wonder if it wasn't for kids.
Very reasonable. And the main characters are like 12,
Yeah.
15-ish.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty young.
Yeah. I don't love. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, or ourselves, but the portrayal of the kids in the movie falls victim to what a lot of movies do, where they're dumb and they're bratty and they're not good characters.
Yes.
So
in the Emperor's New Groove episode, they are these two kids that are in the movie as well, kind of way more tangential than this. And I was talking to Ari about that. I was like, what was going on in the 90s and early aughts where we just made kids under 15 were pretty bratty, or a common storyline is that like your siblings, so they hate each other.
Absolutely. That's de rigueur. Yeah. And
Yeah,
my sister
we
and
saw
I
that
had times when we hated each other, but
in Stay Tuned last night. We watched a movie together where it's almost pathological. Yeah, like
especially
why
the
would you
sister.
be so violent?
Yeah, right. To the exclusion of, simple human reason. Someone is
Yes.
screaming and begging for you to do something to protect you, and you're like, I don't have to listen to you.
Stuff is like, wow, you sound crazy. Like, yeah, the board game's coming to life. Like, well, if we can assume the board game's not coming to life, your 8-year-old brother is having a schizophrenic break for the first time in his life. Do you want to participate? Like, there are two options here.
Yeah, or somehow he's like summoned giant spiders to come after you. Like, you better find out where they're coming from, if not the game.
Yeah, he's got a necromancy problem, or like there might be a gas leak in the house.
Yeah, are you seeing this too? Very suggestible.
Exactly.
The carbon monoxide radon soup.
And this also starts with, to be fair, I would think that was possible of an old New Hampshire house, and they just moved in and it's haunted. So there's always an explanation for the haunting, way more reasonable than that.
Right.
It starts with their parents dying as well, which is not in the children's book, because why would you do that? You don't have to.
So the book is just like the kids find this neato game and go on adventures, or adventures.
They find it in a park, and like, whoa, this wacky stuff happens and their house gets trashed. But then at the end, they still make it to the end of the game and everything's reset. It's kind of more like the Cat in the Hat. Like, he comes over, it's wacky, and then he leaves.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is, that makes a little bit more sense. And then they also make it into a space version of that as well in the Zathura version, where that is connected. Yeah, because
Zarathustra or something.
Yeah, well, they also make that one into a movie too. And what I thought was so interesting about the fact that they're not connected in the cinematic universes. They are connected in the book universes, which is that at the end of Jumanji, the picture book, you see the kids return it back to the park. And at the beginning of Zathura, you see them find what is actually Jumanji, and Zathura is hidden underneath inside the board game of Jumanji. And so they pull that out, and then like crazy space stuff happens.
Right.
But when they make them into movies, they make them these much more intense moral parables. Mm-hmm. With Jumanji, the first one, there's a lot being said about like responsibility and cheating. Like the game really fucks that one character up when he tries to cheat and it turns him into a monkey.
That will not be tolerated.
I kind of dig that. Like, in a way, it's almost Lovecraftian. Like, the game is sentient, right?
Well, right. Yeah, it certainly has agency. I'm tempted to think about the Last Crusade traps, and, the penitent man is humble, but it can tell that he cheated, and then there is a consequence. So, yeah, it does sort of seem to have agency.
And it matches what's happening to them with concepts that are upsetting specifically to them. So it kind of has an idea of what is going on and who is playing with it. And it's building that kind of, it's almost like maybe a cousin to the Cenobites, where it's like, oh, we'll
Ooh.
build a thing for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. I mean, it's not a puzzle box; it's a game box. But that's the junior version of Cenobite entrapment.
Well, you have to ask, how old is Jumanji? We start with us seeing it in like I looked it up, the trivia says 1892.
Right.
And
Oh,
and
right.
it
The
fucking with
opening
kids
scene where
then.
they're burying it. Yeah. Right. And it's got like, the pieces all look hand carved and the dice are like, you know, old bones or something. So it does seem ancient.
And when we get to the next Jumanjis where they have avatars, it's because the game itself gets found because they throw it into the water at the end. Spoiler
Right.
alert!
Right.
And we see people picking it up and they're speaking French, so we assume it's made it across to France.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that
It does.
someone finds the game again and it morphs into a video game. Like
Right.
it can evolve. It is
Right.
sentient enough to keep updated with the times.
So we could go back to ancient Sumeria and see a version of Jumanji.
It feels like it could be again within that like maybe even the Stephen King like a Pennywise, like it's an
Yeah.
alien sent here who is interacting with humans to, I don't know, consume them, trap them. We have no idea how many people have played the game and died, played the game and gotten sucked in.
Hmm.
Like
Do you
it
suppose
doesn't seem
that?
like when you're inside the game you can play it anymore. You're just inside the game.
Yeah. Do you think the big game hunter was someone who was previously and
That is a confusing question because you want to think that the casting is making a choice there, but the casting wasn't anything but convenience, which is that Jonathan Hyde plays Van Pelt, the guy who comes and starts shooting everybody, the big game hunter. And that's also the actor who plays Alan, Robin Williams' father. So you think it's like, oh, it's a representation of his biggest fear was his father. And it's like, no. In fact, that was supposed to be Tim Curry, but he had some scheduling issues. And then it was supposed to be Rowan Atkinson, but he couldn't make it work either. And they were like, Jonathan, you're already here.
tell you
Please.
what, buddy, put the costume on.
Please. So I
That's like a theater level of like the show must go on. Like you could pause production and find another actor, couldn't you?
and that's almost because they do that in Peter Pan, in theatrical versions of Peter Pan.
Right,
Wendy's father always plays Captain Hook.
right, right.
And so you're like, is it because like for kids that would make sense and he would but I think it makes more sense to think that Van Pelt was stuck in the game at some point in time.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think personally that is what
And
I mean, this is not part of the original literature, so we can go wherever we want.
I know, yeah, we've already put way more into the backstory of this movie than it ever contemplated. But Robin Williams gets out because the kids start playing the game. So Van Pelt could get out kind of for the same reason. I mean, because otherwise Van Pelt comes out because of the same reason all the animals come out and stuff, and the spiders and bats, like because of a game effect, a role that you land on. But I don't can't specifically remember how the Robin Williams character. Like, I think he just pops out because the game is active again.
No, you have to he gets sucked in and there's that every time they play there's like a rhyme. And his
Right.
rhyme was like you have to roll another player has to roll an 8.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And then when they open up the game, coincidentally, the very first roll they do is an 8, and so it lets him out. But he's been waiting, and so that's like another really weird thing of the board game is that like Robin is in there, his character's in there. He can't keep playing inside the game. He needs
Yeah.
to wait for either the original player to come back or someone to take over for them. So like
Find the game.
if
Yeah.
if Bonnie had died, I guess it would still have let the Judy and Peter character play as her, but like they really I don't know what they would have done because they have to get Bonnie.
Right.
Like if she
Right.
had died in real life, I don't know what they would have done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's also kind of like I don't know, a monkey's paw element or whatever, where the game makes itself found or sort of, I guess it's pretty passive, but it is waiting to be found again. And like in the 1890s, and then the 1990s, and then maybe directly or some years later to the French speaking people.
I think it's pretty actively sentient. Like, people are chosen by the game. Some people get near the game and then it starts making that drumming noise. So it does seem to have a like call to you, where it's like certain people get pulled in.
Right.
It does seem to want children. I mean, I guess because it's a board game, children would play a board game, although shout out to our adult board game community, for which we are a part of.
For sure.
Which also brings me to a fact that I love about this, which is definitely a movie that's like, this board game almost ruined these people's lives. Would you like to buy a copy from us? Because they made real copies of this game.
Tie-in marketing, right? And it doesn't actually look like a fun game without the magic. Like, it's a pretty boring, like, roll the dice and move along the path. I mean, we definitely had games that were that boring, but not a lot going on.
Yeah, like, unless you're a super fan of the movie and you're like, this is the part where that would have, like,
Right. Just use the play along audiobook or something.
We actually, this is a bit of a bury the lead. We got to see a copy of one of the shooting set versions of the game. There are a few. One recently sold for over $60,000 on eBay. It's a lot. We got to see a real copy of it because we went to the Jumanji 30th anniversary extravaganza in Keene, New Hampshire, because a lot of this movie was shot in Keene, New Hampshire. Some parts were shot in Maine, the mill parts were shot in Maine, but most of it was shot there, which is how this whole thing started. I found out that this was happening, and they were having a race where everyone put on inflatable animal suits and ran down Main Street, much like the stampede does in this movie. And I thought, what a whimsical... It was
a stampede more than a race.
What a whimsical, stupid thing to do. And I immediately signed myself up, and we went, and I did this. You can see the footage at the end. I'll tack it on. And we had a glorious day in what is a wonderful town. Everyone was so nice.
Yeah, I've known Keene for quite a while and have friends there. Like, I knew it was a really nice town, and because I didn't know the movie, I wasn't aware of the connection. And it really kind of seems like, like Groundhog's Day and Punxsutawney. Like, this movie really has a connection to the town and vice versa. And like, they gave Robin Williams a key to the city. They like really, kind of made it a claim to fame and a draw for the city. So
yeah, he was really, really sweet, and I mean, he was notoriously a wonderful person. Every single time you hear something about him shooting, like, really great to the people in the town. There are also wonderful stories about how they wanted to shoot overtime to get this under budget. I'll tangent on the rest of that for a second, and that would have required breaking the law on the children's rights for filming, because you can't shoot overtime with Kirsten Dunst and Bradley Pierce.
Right.
And they were like, let's just do it. And they were filming, wanted to do it for the scene in the water, when the alligators in the water is in the house. That took 8 days to shoot.
Right.
And because Bradley is wearing the makeup, it takes 3 hours to get him into monkey costume.
Yeah.
And the water is going up into the makeup such that he is almost drowning, and it keeps falling off of his face.
Right.
And they just want to shoot. And Robin Williams has to put his foot down and say, look, I will walk off this goddamn movie if you don't obey the child laws here and you take care of these kids. I don't care. And so they wind up not doing that and helping him out.
Right. But yeah, it takes somebody with that level of clout in the production to do the right thing, because, the kids didn't have any say, and like, even a second unit director wouldn't have been able to overrule, the production. So I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, he kind of had a pretty strong hold over the production, because TriStar only agreed to finance the film on the condition that Robin Williams was the star.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they had originally started looking at making this, there's a whole slew of people that they wanted to play the Robin Williams character. And it's TriStar who really is like, you get Robin Williams in it or we're not making this goddamn movie. And it's Robin Williams who demands that they rewrite the script, because the original script was written by the guy who actually wrote the picture book. And it's too disjointed and it doesn't make any sense, so they had to get it rewritten to get him on. Hilariously, they wanted first choice Tom Hanks.
I was going to ask if you knew who the other candidates were. He was ascendant then.
He couldn't do it. He actually would have done it, but it contradicted with filming Apollo 13.
I mean, another character sort of trapped in a dangerous situation for a time.
Yeah, I correct choice, Tom.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, somewhat more notable.
Second choice was Bruce Willis.
No. God, no.
He was still trying to do that kind of like more comedy stuff, I think.
Right.
Trying to sell him as that. He actually wound up doing Die Hard with a Vengeance instead. It conflicted.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, he wouldn't have had the whimsy and the zaniness of either of the
list.
Others. Like Hanks could have pulled it off, but
is so long. I'm just gonna rattle off the rest because they are in no particular order. Although it feels like in worse and worse order. And I'm gonna start out with Dan Aykroyd. So you're like, how could it get? Just strap in. It's Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Sean Penn, Kevin Costner, Richard Dreyfuss, Michael Douglas, Rupert Everett, Harrison Ford, and Alec Baldwin.
All those last ones are like gorgeous leading man kind of characters. Like, I guess, that, like I was going to say, it's sort of like, an Alan Quartermain, like adventurer character, like Michael Douglas in Romancing the Stone or whatever, but that's not who, is it Jack? What's the character's name for Robin Williams?
It's Alan.
Alan. Oh, right.
Alan. It's Alan.
Alan.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's not like Baldwin. Are you high? Like, that would be really
even
weird.
Comedy Alec Baldwin now that makes fun of himself doesn't have the range we need for the. And they all feel a little bit like, even at the time, a little old to play a guy who was a child like 8 and then in there for 20. You're gonna have to be like he was in there for 50 years, in which case he should have no mind.
Yeah, right. Well, and I'm picturing any of those guys in the little like leafy tunic with their thighs sticking out like that. That would be weird.
I could only take Tom Hanks as a possible consideration. And then I could see them doing Chevy Chase because of the time. I just would have hated it so very much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like he and Dan Aykroyd as SNL guys, like, and, Ghostbusters kind of vibes. Like, I could see that being part of the comedy and not being as good. But, like, yeah. But, yeah, then all those others is like, I mean, presumably the studio was thinking, like, star power. Like, people will come see a movie because this guy's in it. But...
Yes. Yeah.
But then they'll be disappointed.
I mean, they had equally as many choices for the Sarah or Bonnie Hunt character to play opposite. Like, I think they must have just been trying pairs and pairs and pairs and pairs and pairs. I really liked Bonnie Hunt in this role. I think she did a really good job of the, like, she spent 26 years in therapy dealing with this, like, she thinks she saw the game come to life, but everyone is telling her what she actually witnessed was the murder of her friend.
Right.
By his father. Like, that's, how do you make that believably zany?
I know, right? There's not a lot of whimsy there.
No, but she does keep saying again and again, like, her reserve as they pull her into the game is believable and not just obstructionary. Like, sometimes it feels like people do or do not do stuff in a film because it's written that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think her character was written well and she portrayed it really genuinely.
You want to hear the list of people they thought about for her?
You bet I do.
Kim Cattrall,
Makes
Jamie
sense.
Lee Curtis, Julia Roberts, Jodie Foster, Sandra Bullock, Madonna, Demi Moore, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, Sharon Stone, Jennifer Tilly, Leah Thompson, Jane Leeves, Joan Cusack, Daryl Hannah, Helen Hunt, Julianne Moore, Heather Locklear, Sharon Lawrence, Kelly Preston, Terry Hatcher, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Jennifer Grey, and Rebecca De Mortier.
Were there any other actors working at the time?
Like, Bonnie, like, I think they chose you last.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I don't actually know her name very well compared to literally everyone else on that list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
And like,
mean, I c-
there are some that I think would have worked, like Joan Cusack. I think would be awesome.
perfect,
But like
perfect choice.
Sharon Stone, are you kidding me? Rebecca De Mornay,
We
like,
almost got this movie. Sean Penn, Sharon Stone.
yeah, chemistry. That's well, Sean Penn, Madonna. Hell, let's just go for it.
That's a different movie.
Yeah,
I guess the love interest holds better a little bit. They did
mhm.
do a movie together at that time. They did that like terrible gangster movie that's just garbage.
Yeah.
And then the only other alternative casting was that Scarlett Johansson read for the Kirsten Dunst role.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of her at that time, but I guess she'd be around the same age. She must be a little bit younger, right? I don't know.
I think they're about the same age.
I guess
I
that,
didn't
yeah, I mean,
fact
at that
check that
age, you
one.
can't have been much younger, or you would have been, like a little toddler. Huh.
And this is kind of like Kirsten Dunst says, I've really only done Interview with a Vampire, so nobody really knows Kirsten Dunst at this time either.
Yeah. Yeah. Strong way not to get typecast as a child vampire.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, another role where like that character is supposed to be an absolute brat, but damn, did you hit it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like, especially over time, even a like developmentally frozen child would have some like experience and perspective on the world and not continue to behave like a spoiled baby. But that's a digression.
What did you think of her performance in this?
I found it pretty shrill.
Mhm.
I I liked, and it wasn't really her performance, but I liked that she messed with the adults. Like she had a different version of the story for like the realtor and everybody else. Like I thought that was a fun part of the character. And I think she was a serviceable, screamy older sister who was uncooperative.
Yeah, the characters of the kids could have been much more broad and more annoying, and I think that
Right.
that's part of why this doesn't totally suck for me.
But
And
it's
I saw it as a kid, so
oh yeah. So that did they feel authentic to you? Do you remember?
I definitely don't remember the kids being as bratty as I found them as an adult. So I think that that could be also just, you know, a little bit of perspective, or now that I'm an adult, I don't have any patience for that. I remember watching this as a kid and that just not being. It also, when I watched it as a kid, it was the first movie that I'd ever seen. We purchased it because we just got a giant TV and a surround sound at home. So like I think the only thing that was getting through to me at that time was, oh my god, the theater is inside and look at all this the CGI and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The effects, certainly don't look state of the art now, but I think most of them hold up reasonably well.
Yeah.
Even the like bats on strings living room, like it wasn't like an Ed Wood movie.
It's funny that I found less dissonance with the sci-fi or the special effects in this movie than I'd find going back and watching the Harry Potter where they all play Quidditch for the first time
Oh
and
yeah.
they don't even look like they're made of human components.
Right. Yeah.
So that does say a lot, because one of my favorite rumors about this movie, which I'm like, this is a testament to the fact that when this movie came out, the internet wasn't very big and rumors could be spread very easily and facts were very hard to get, which is that there was a constant rumor that several animals died during the filming of this movie.
Yeah.
All of the animals are CGI.
Right. Right. There were. I
All
mean,
of them.
so in a sort of metaphysical sense, they died when their data was deleted or whatever. Like, yeah, but there we did not need the ASPCA on set.
Impossible. Yeah, they're like, the movie doesn't even end with an ASPCA. There can't.
Yeah.
There's no animals harmed on the filming of this set because there were no
Rhino
animals on
didn't
the.
really turn into a monkey. Okay, that was part of the story, guys.
Although some of it was Muppet actors and practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great interview with Robin Williams where he's talking about the like acting with CGI is like being on LSD, and like you have to act with something that you're hallucinating being there. And he would get so used to hallucinating with the thing that when they would bring in an actual Muppet actor person,
Right.
which in case he's talking about the alligator actor, he would forget that they were real and go so hard in his performance that they would have to call cut, because the person inside the suit would be like, "Yo, Robin, it's Tim. Calm it down.
Won't actually drown me."
Oh yeah, shit, yeah, you're really truly here.
Right. Yeah, that's disorienting.
Yeah, which brings me to one of my favorite facts that I had to recently tell our friend Ben, who adores this movie, who couldn't believe me, so we had to triple check it. Bob Hodgkins experienced a like psychotic break from filming Roger Rabbit because he was interacting with so many things that weren't there, and he got so used to creating the hallucination that he couldn't stop after they filmed, and he almost couldn't go back to acting because he was hallucinating the characters for years after the end of filming.
Wow. That is not a risk one imagines taking as an actor. Like, stuff can go wrong, but like, oh, I actually destroyed my perception of reality. Can't tell animation from physical.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you have to sell it. And you live in this environment for so long, and the character is also mentally unstable for Robin Williams. Like, you really have to buy into this being his reality. I admire the craft, but also like, would I lose my sanity for either the film Jumanji or Roger Rabbit? I don't know.
Right. I mean, those are both iconic movies. Like, we're still talking
Very
about
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do genuinely mean, I'm not being like obvious and that. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. I really would struggle with that. Yeah.
You told me one of my favorite facts about this regarding the rhino CGI.
Yeah, that is adorable. I think he's kind of a fan favorite, right? Like I guess it must be the case that they were sort of rendered as individual, like AI creatures or whatever. Like the computers were rendering the animals independently, and somehow on one of the rhinos, the frame rate was set incorrectly or something, or like motions per frame were wrong. And so it was running slower than all the other animals in like the big, down the road stampede. So they all go tearing through, and then this one little dude is like, and that, it's such a charming moment because we can all picture like, the little last guy like, wait up for me, guys. And it wasn't written or designed or intended. It was just a fluke of the programming, but it created such an iconic moment in the film and almost a character in like the plucky last rhino who can't always keep up. So folks at the inflatable costume stampede were like, oh yeah, I'm going to be that rhino. Everybody's going to stampede up the road, and I'll be like, so
yeah,
keeping the dream alive all these years later for the can't keep up rhino.
Yeah, they even added in the little wheezing that you hear because they're like, this is so cute. Add in the wheezing. Just leave it. You have to. I love that kind of like mistake, but it's also perfect.
Yeah, the happy accident that, like, oh no, this turned out better than we could have planned.
There was a certain amount of like reality to some of the stuff that was happening, even though a lot of it was CGI. So like the scene that we're talking about, all those animals were CGI. But in order to start the scene, they have to burst through this wall. And so the special effects team decided like, we need to start with something that looks really real. So build a giant steel rhinoceros and blast it through that wall with a hydraulic rig.
Nice. Yeah.
And then we'll replace on top of it with the herd of animals. And you're like, cool. Everybody stand the fuck back. Like, right. I'm surprised that, in fact, only one person got slightly injured in the filming of this movie.
By a flying piece of brick or something.
A stunt woman lost control of the car when the monkeys steal it from the police officer. She's supposed to, like, drive it down and into a ditch. And it wound up hitting a tree at 60 miles an hour. And the director had to like beg with the paparazzi of Keene to
Yeah.
keep it under wraps so that the film didn't get shut down. And they were like, we love the film. Of course we won't. We'll tell people later.
Yeah, right. We're definitely going to have this story in our pocket. Yeah, I was thinking about the reality of the movie. Like, the animals rushing around are crazy, but like the humans in the real world do unbelievable shit and just she just dumps her car and then just keeps running. Like, you there are consequences to actions. You can't just do this stuff.
Just do that. In the original script, it's supposed to get dumped into off the bridge into the water, and she swims to shore, NBD. And BB Newirth was like, I do what? When?
Yeah. Do you realize
I think
Broadway?
Gotta keep this under budget.
Right.
Actually, the budget on this is pretty impressive when you consider the return on investment.
Yeah.
Film cost $65 million, which of course we know to be just about 3 Dusk Till Dawns. 3 Dusk Till Dawns. But it garnered a return on investment of 304%.
Yeah.
So it makes like $262 billion and change.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good return on investment. I mean, obviously there have been much larger figures, but like, okay.
Yeah.
They did a decent job. There was all this concern about like, well, we can't keep it under budget if we don't abuse the children, and can't keep it under budget if we don't like act a little crazy with this. They did a perfectly fine job, and like this movie, I think when we look back on it, people say like, was it successful when it came out, or was it a success because of exactly what I described? People wanted to watch it at home now that they had these home systems, and it becomes a cult classic after the fact.
I mean, I think a little of both. I remember it being a pretty good blockbuster in theaters. Like, I think it was, well attended. I knew about it as a cinematic release, and then it kind of had legs to carry on in the video market and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was not record breaking, but certainly obviously successful.
I feel like that's a pretty good record for me. I mean, I pulled up the Rotten Tomatoes, and again, this movie comes out in 95, and Rotten Tomatoes isn't invented until 1998, so it's not like there could have been a Rotten Tomatoes for when it was released.
Right.
But I was surprised. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 52% by critics and 63% by home critics, and I'm unsure of where the hate for that comes.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested to read the 1-star reviews. Like, I think that it's easy to anticipate the enthusiastic reviews, but like, I wonder what went wrong for people. I mean, like, I didn't love everything about it. I thought the kids were a little annoying, and obviously the animation wasn't perfect, and blah blah blah. But like, it's just supposed to be a fun adventure movie about kids, and I feel like it has the same kind of movie magic as like Goonies and stuff. Like it feels like a Saturday afternoon awesome fun movie adventure.
And it's a movie where the kids and the adults have agency. So if you're watching this as a kid, you could be like, I feel like the Kirsten Dunst character, the Bradley Pierce. But as adults, we felt like the Alan and Sarah character. So if you have a family coming to watch this movie, it does feel like it actually satisfies what most people need, which is I need to feel like I can suspend myself in this story. Also has, like, it could have literally been as the picture book was, where like crazy stuff just happens and it's wacky. But I think the idea of having this character get trapped in the game, dealing with what it means to grow up, all of those things that get threaded through, like when someone makes a decision, there is a direct repercussion inside the game, and that is an important thing to learn both as an adult and a child, and you have to deal with those repercussions even if they're really big and uncontrollable.
Right. And there are real world, like, the world keeps happening. The guy who got fired from the shoe store, who's now a cop, who's a hilarious character. That is a story of a person pretty tangential to the like Jumanji game, but like it creates a world that is happening and that makes the story more grounded and a little more well-rounded.
Yeah. that there were still all these effects, like Bonnie has lifelong effects because he goes inside the game. It's not just like, which sends the message to children like, hey, you think you could just kill yourself? What if I was never born kind of repercussions, which is slightly ironic because that ties into Zathura, but I want to go there in just a second. I do want to mention one thing because we were talking about the police officer and we are talking about David Alan Grier. And I just now realized this in going through my facts. He is a full adult when Alan is a child. And Alan is in the game for 26 years. And then David Alan Grier plays him as a cop now 26 years later. I don't think he's old enough for that by any means. Bless, I mean, I guess, yeah.
Right. I took him to be pretty young as an employee in the shoe factory. So if he was like 19 or 20, like a high school grad, he could be in his late 40s,
as a cop now.
Yeah, as the cop. I mean, they maybe could have like aged him up a little bit more to accentuate the passage of time, but
yeah,
it's maybe a stretch, but not so great as many in the film.
I did like his role. I liked his comedic beats. I thought he was a good. He doesn't affect anything. They don't get there in time. They don't help anybody. He's just like, he's almost like if they kept the gorilla parts in Goonies.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. There's just this thing zooming around in the background to be zany. And
somebody's stealing cars in the background of this movie.
Yeah. I definitely was entertained by the ongoing like deterioration of the police cruiser to the point that it's like, barely drivable. Like that was fun. Those monkeys
and his commitment to keep trying. They really
right. Like he had not retired. This was not his last day. He was 100% on the job.
Those monkeys were a great representation of what I think the original concept of gremlins are.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's for sure what they were. So, yeah, they came out with malice. Those were not just like wild animals.
And with a desire to dismantle everything that they could touch. If it was an airplane, a car, a bicycle, they were going to just rip it to pieces to see what it was.
Malevolent glee.
Yeah. So why is the game generating those? Like, if this is the sentient game, what is the point? I think that if you think about like, okay, maybe it's trying to teach children parables, all children do have a certain amount of that malevolent glee inside them that needs to be taken care of, or at least here is a mirror child. See what this is like to deal with.
Yeah, interesting. But
probably way more thought than there.
But then they just went after everything. So the kids didn't necessarily face the consequences from those. They could observe.
Mostly BB Newirth.
Yeah, basically.
And the rest of the town. But monkeys be monkeying around. I did want to say that with regards to this Zathura and the concept of wishing someone out of existence, I found it fascinating that Jumanji was taken from the book and made so much darker. Mm-hmm. We didn't even get to the ending. We'll get there in a second. This is my segue to the ending. Okay. Zathura was taken as a book and made so much darker. And it's Jon Favreau. Huh. And in interviews, he's like, I did it on purpose because kids deserve dark stories like this. And it's a little bit later on than 1995. But I do think this kind of harkens back to that, like, kids could handle a lot more than kids could handle now. Because in Zathura, they go into space and it's two brothers. Okay. And they're playing the game in space. And one of them wishes that the other, the younger one, was never born. And the game grants the wish. And introduces this astronaut character who begins to help, adult astronaut character who begins to help him. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Zathura, turn this off, fast forward, whatever you need to do. The character winds up being the boy from an alternate timeline in which he has been stuck in the game until he aged into an adult and like is sociopathic.
Yeah.
And the young boy has to fight himself to bring back his younger brother.
Oh, wow. Is he actively, like, taking revenge on the boys? Like, he knows that they're him, or he's just a monster?
The younger boy is effectively gone. He does actually get wished out of existence in the movie. And then the older version of himself is fucking with the younger version of himself for having made the decision that cursed him for his eternity.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. and so like you have to defeat your own selfishness to be an empathetic human being, is what Jon Favreau was trying to teach us with this crazy wacky story that isn't about that. So these picture books get picked up and made into much more scary things, but in a way that I feel like teaches a lesson that is worthwhile and interesting, even as an adult.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had a recent conversation with friends about children's books from like the 70s and 80s, and I think movies as well were a lot less gentle with young audiences. I'm looking at you, Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I
Watership Down
for a month.
The Dust Witch.
Yeah, that's her. Another great Jonathan Pryce role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This movie, how do you feel about the ending? Because we're talking about how heavy Zathura's ending is. And I feel like this movie, as a kid, I did not pick up on this at all. As an adult, I sat there with you and I was like, how is this ending?
Right. So they're now adults in the bodies of children who now have to live their whole lives again, right? Like their parents are alive, which I guess is great, but you're their age, except they don't know. Like, talk about rebellious adolescence. Like, I know more than you.
Like, I know the future. Yeah, so the game doesn't undo your mind. It doesn't erase the minds of Alan and Sarah. It just resets, which is before Peter and Judy are born. So it does effectively reset their minds because the game has to go back to the last save point in which it was first opened.
Right.
But that only erases Judy and Peter's minds because it literally erases their existence in art. So we're starting to get involved in like, oh no, there's a wibbly wobbly time bit to this.
Yeah.
But like, good on them for not buying IBM stock, betting on the World Series. Like, they know what will happen and could change the future if they got involved and wanted to. But like, they also have to choose to not tell people about national disasters. Like, there's a Final Destination situation that starts to feeder into like the ending left me with so many questions.
Yeah, that definitely creates some problems. I mean, with stuff like that, like I haven't memorized every, team that won the World Series. So if I suddenly went back in time, I wouldn't be able to help the sports bettors very much. I guess I'd remember some broad strokes and some useless stuff, but but yeah, certainly all of those kinds of time travel anomalies jam up into some pretty substantial problems pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Which might be why it doesn't happen.
I especially think here, like, Bonnie Hunt's character has had all the therapy and the years of living with thinking that her hallucination isn't real, only to be sent literally back in time. She could think, this is it, I'm in the loony bin. I'm like, is this a Jacob's Ladder situation? Like, for the rest of your life, how do you ever trust what you are experiencing to truly be real, and you will not just be sent back to a different, like, there's that fear for her. Robin Williams is a survivalist. He is now like an 8 or 10-year-old child who can kill, dress, feed. There's no way you put that in a child and no one notices. He was like the fancy boy of the Paris shoe guy, and now he's like a full mensch.
Right, now he's Bear Grylls in a 10-year-old's body.
Yada, yada, yada. Whatever, fast forward, it's Christmas, and the parents aren't dead.
Yep. And that shoe idea turns out to have been pretty good.
We do get to see the reset for the David Allen Greer. They actually had to edit out part of that because they wanted the kids to be opening up the new shoe from Paris Shoes, which was designed by David Allen Greer's character, but they wanted the shoes to be called Jumanji. But executives were like, oh, that feels like the kids could be sucked back into the game, and the game is now shoes.
God.
It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you know...
There was one other fact.
Word, like, is Jumanji a word? I mean, like a real
That's
word?
what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, nice.
That's what I want to talk about, because this is one of those facts that I think a lot of people go around just like full on saying, but is straight up not true. According to the author of the book, who I haven't, Chris Van Allsburg. I don't think I've said his name yet once. Chris Van Allsburg.
Right.
The word Jumanji is Zulu for many effects, which alludes to the exciting consequences of the game. There is no such word in Zulu.
Oh, good.
That is not true. In fact, to the point where Robin Williams in interviews would do literally what Judy does in the movie about her parents' death. He would change the answer every single time he was asked what it meant.
Good man. Yeah, I actually guessed it would be Swahili because we have a ton of words borrowed from Swahili. But yeah, like it's clearly supposed to be an African sounding word in a sort of like Orientalism kind of way. That's like, I bet there is a Zulu term for many effects that you could have fucking looked up or asked someone.
It was before, it wasn't in his copy of Encyclopedia Britannica CDs, so you couldn't find it on Megavish. Right. So it's weird because Jumanji now does mean many effects because it's not a real word. It didn't have a definition, and it has been given a definition, but it's not from Zulu. Yeah. All right. Huh. I wonder if I could teach myself to use that in day-to-day life, like, I don't know, like a bright flash can have Jumanji. It can develop film. It can blind someone. I'm like, what are you saying? Is it going to be?
How are you telling me you're going to make this?
Going to make this your new fetch?
Exactly. I'm making Jumanji happen in its literal correct usage.
I will help you, and I'm always willing to make a new word stick hard.
That's right.
So you heard it here, folks. Yeah, start using Jumanji. Do you feel like it's a noun, a verb, or adverb? Can you do things Jumanjily?
Yeah, I guess you sort of could.
I'm Jumanjiing.
A Jumanjesque experience.
Uh-huh.
Jumanjish. Yeah,
Jumanjish might be too much. I feel like you need a soft side in there. That's gonna hurt my face.
Or Jumanji.
I'm just wondering what the closed captions is just dying right now, trying to figure out what.
Sorry.
How do I don't know.
Redacted.
Just checking over my stuff that I have here. I do think that this is interesting. The director also was the director for The Rocketeer and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And those kind of have the same level of like nostalgia and reverence for me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is very much in the same category for me of like kids having an adventure with like giant ants or whatever else they come across when they're shrunken. Like it's like a magical effect makes them confront, weird dangers, especially creatures. So that jives. Rocketeer, I feel like, is a pretty different vibe, but, visually, like pushing the envelope with visual effects for sure. Wait, is Alec Baldwin in The Rocketeer? Who's The Rocketeer? It doesn't matter.
I thought it was Alec Baldwin. It's been a while. No, it's Billy Campbell and Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah. Was Jennifer Connelly going to be the girl character in Jumanji? One of the only
if I didn't say, I fugued out, guys. If I didn't say it, I probably meant to. I started smelling burnt toast when I read that list.
Yeah.
It makes sense, especially because Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, as I've said in a previous fact on my channel, was originally written by Stuart Gordon, Brian Usna, and Ed Naha, who did Reanimator. And it was supposed to be called Teeny Weenies, and it was supposed to be a real big sci-fi horror about like all these things attacking people. And like they rewrote it 17 times to Tuesday and brought Joe Johnson in to direct. And that's kind of exactly what happens here. There are so many rewrites, and then Johnson is brought in. So I feel like he's a director who keeps getting called on in the 90s as a like, okay, we need somebody to get this under budget and get this under control and just get this freaking filmed. And he does that because both of these movies wind up being way better than they should have been if you read about how hard it was to get them written. And they're like, the scripts aren't that crazy.
It does sound like he's a bit of a miracle worker then, like being able to salvage something that really, really works out of very difficult, fraught creative process.
He also did Captain America: First Avenger and Jurassic Park 3. So maybe that's a little bit closer to the Rocketeer kind of Hollywood vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't see either of those movies, so I can't truly say.
I thought the Captain America origin story was well done and very Rocketeer, like very much that, like Art Deco kind of World War II era.
Okay.
I mean, which is later than Art Deco, but like that kind of, classic Americana vibe with an action hero. So yeah, that makes sense to me. And,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is monsters chasing people, animals chasing people.
He does do a good people chasing things. I guess that's like the car chase of his.
Right.
If there wasn't a tour vision for Joe Johnstone, it would be is something chasing something.
Yeah.
Non-car chases.
Right. Yeah. Living things chasing each other. Incidentally, I
Living
have
things chasing each other.
a gleefully malevolent monkey in here because Ash is done being in this room. So our skinny cat is leaping around like one of the Jumanji monkeys.
And he doesn't want something, he gets.
Yeah, you can see that look in his eye.
Gonna destroy your whole room. Well, we'll bring it close to an end. I just wanted to discuss one last thing before we close this up, because I found this very fascinating. When I think of Robin Williams as an actor, I think of him as being a big improv person.
Right.
And I often wonder, like, everyone describes him as being wonderful to work with. How can you get a movie under budget with somebody who improvs so much? Because that takes up time on set. How could people be so like keen on hiring him then?
Mhm.
And I looked into it, and actually, like, he was incredibly respectful. And when you told him that stuff needed to be tightly structured like this was in order to maintain the actual plot of what was going on, he does almost no improvisation. And when he does improv, he gives you 3 takes of the same exact improv.
Nice.
Like he would do it over and over. He would give you coverage of his improv, is what he did on Jumanji. So in some of the scenes where he's improving with Bonnie Hunt, he still did coverage, which is like, he's such a professional actor, and I can't believe the misconceptions that I had for him definitely would have led me away from this movie if I had not already seen it as a kid and been like, yes, good movie.
Yeah. Right. His energy is so chaotic. It's hard to believe that is under control. Like, because the vibe you get is that he is, a lunatic, but he is performing that. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Everything is really orchestrated and structured and beautiful. And like, I think that's why it comes out on a film and doesn't just feel like, sometimes the improv and things like Eddie Murphy's improv is funny, but it's so out of context. You really, really see this with Sinbad in that Arnold Schwarzenegger Jingle All the Way, where he's making cultural references that don't totally exist in that world, where you're like, do they have a Judge Judy? I don't.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But, like that was the take we had to use because he said 3 other even more bonkers things every other take we tried to get. So, yeah. Right.
Someone pointed out that.
Well, and Williams can have that crazed improv energy, like with the comic relief performances. And like when he's live, he truly is that like zany and creative and improvisational and off the cuff. But he clearly can also kind of control it. And like, well, if he hits on a good idea, he can then go back and hit it again and again. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't usually like improv comics all the time. Yeah. And so it's nice to be able to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and, I think, you hear all the time that like some iconic line wasn't scripted and it turns out to have been an improvisation. I mean, I guess the first one and biggest one that comes to mind is the Tears in the Rain ending to the Roy Batty speech from Blade Runner. Like Rutger Hauer improvised that in the moment. And like, that's the best part of that whole film. Like that seals the deal. And if the director had been like, cut, that's not what we wrote, like you would have lost a incredible moment, sort of in a meta way. So there should be room when somebody has a really great idea or great inspiration to try it out and run with it. And, I think a good director will be like, keep rolling. This is worth seeing where it goes. But then, somebody who's sort of undisciplined about it and is just like trying to, be funny and get attention by being wacky all the time, like that's where it tips over into counterproductive and distracting and a big nuisance for everybody who's also trying to work on this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does it serve the scene or does it serve you?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Right.
Fine line. I like that distinction. I do think that that's important, and it's always confusing. Like, what exactly is a director doing on set? And it's like he's kind of giving the editor stuff that he can use.
Yeah, basically, right. Like, I need to produce the raw material here.
I can't just point and be like, "Yeah, 70 hours. You figure it out."
There's a good movie in there somewhere if you can cut the wheat from the chaff.
All right. Well, is there anything we didn't cover? Anything you want to say before we ask the final questions here?
Yeah, I'm trying to buzz back through. It's been a little while since we watched the film, so
It's been a hot
kind of
minute.
been a helpful
Yeah.
review in some ways. Yeah, no, I'm yeah, I think it's neat. It's a pretty good.
Did you have a favorite scene? Favorite scene? Least favorite scene?
Man, it's not fresh enough in my memory entirely for that. I think in a small role, BB Newirth kind of steals the show. Like she was always so hilarious and so charming.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that particular casting. I think she works very well because she's supposed to be a little bit reserved, but she's also supposed to be like the arty aunt, and she's just doing her best, and she really sticks with you for someone who isn't totally in the movie.
And I think it's clever to have like an adult who isn't a parent. At least for me, that's a good proxy because I think for a parent watching kids in distress, like if you relate with the parent, it's going to be a little more immediate and upsetting. And obviously she cares about the kids and she's trying to look after them, but she also doesn't totally know what to do with them, and like she's barely in charge here either.
And she herself is grieving. It's her sister who has died. So
sure. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her and the monkeys, I think, are some of the best comedy.
I really loved that wheezing rhinoceros.
Yeah, that's hard.
Dude, it was like 89. So hot when we did the run, and they're in the plastic suit, and like I've instantly triggered my asthma. I was dressed as a zebra, but I was like, I'm the rhino. We're all the rhino.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and they're like, it was great because there was the guy on the PA and they were blasting Welcome to the Jungle and getting everybody psyched and like, yeah. And 5 seconds into the run, half the people were like peeling their suits off, like, I'm going to die. Like,
the people who took the face panels out were smart.
That's, maybe not their first rodeo. Yeah.
They might make it an annual thing. So if you are listening to us now, you can always go to Jumanji 30th anniversary.com or go to Ted's Boot Shop in Keene, New Hampshire, because the guy who ran it, actually Ted, you can go there and meet him. He is so damn nice.
He is.
I can't tell you enough. The food was great. And he was talking about organizing it again next year because it was such a wonderful turnout. And I really genuinely hope that they do. And there's a mural there that they finished painting of all the characters. They even repainted the Paris shoe sign on top of what is Ted's shoes. So you can go see all that good stuff. It was joy.
It was. And they did on top of the Stampede, they created a really fun scavenger hunt with all of the local shops and restaurants and businesses around the main street of Keene. And they had clues that were sort of rhyming lines like the bits from the game. We got most of the clues in the like hour and a half we were buzzing around. We definitely didn't finish it, so it wasn't like just a little kiddie thing.
Easy.
It was challenging, but it got us to go into a couple bookstores and a couple of art shops and a pub, and like really a great thing to do for that town, that like business district, and for all the fans who were there for the show. So, listeners, we'll see you in Keene next summer.
Yeah, there were 10,000 people came to the city of Keene that day for this race. When you know the size of Keene, that is impressive. So I would be surprised if they don't try and do this again. It was orchestrated well, and it only gets better when you keep doing things. If this is year one, guys, nailed it.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They had live music. They had face painting and stuff for kids. It was a really good event.
They played they started off by playing it at a wonderful restored theater. Their theater is gorgeous.
Yeah, really.
And Bradley Pierce, who was Peter, came. So one of the people from the actual cast was there. They really made it to do of it. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good excuse to watch the movie again.
Community to have that kind of an event.
It's impressive to see a movie have such a lasting effect on a town and a community. We're talking about 3 decades later. People are still talking about who was there when it shot, what they did, where they shot it, how nice everybody was, how much of a boon it was. And it is still actively a boon for the community.
Right.
What movies do that?
This is making me think about State and Maine from Mammoth, and another film production that comes to a small New England town and maybe does not have quite as beloved a legacy.
Worth watching. Definitely worth your time, but the opposite happens.
But it captures what it must be like for, this little New England town to suddenly have a Hollywood movie production roll in. And, and I'm sure there were looky-loos, and there were, people who, like you said, the Keene paparazzi who were there for the car crash. And that literally then is the story they tell literally every person at every dinner party for the rest of their lives. But that's and then their kids start borrowing that story, and they're like, my grandfather was the guy behind the stampede and the scene. No kidding.
It's such a legacy. It's very heartwarming. There aren't very many movies that do something like that. And so to get to revisit it like that with you, someone who had never seen it and had no context with it, and to see you also getting drawn in and having this magical time made me realize I'm not just nostalgia drunk.
No, that's right. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a tale for the ages.
Final questions at the end, which are pretty obviously. Did you like this movie?
I did. I enjoyed it more than I expected to.
Would you recommend it to other people? And if so, or if not, any caveats on that?
I think this is the rare kind of movie that my whole family at Christmas time could sit down and watch. And my nephew would be a little jaded about it, but my mom would enjoy it. My sister would enjoy it. It really is kind of a whole family thing. I guess, if somebody can't relax about the technical elements, they're going to, sort of nitpick it because the visuals look a little bit dated. But honest to God, when the first time inside the house, when the rhinos come flying down the hallway, that scene is heart pounding. It still works.
It still works pretty damn well.
It's iconic.
Yeah. It's ironic because Robin Williams wouldn't let his children see this movie when it came out. They were very young. We're talking 5 and 3. Because he thought it was too scary for them. And I think that's the difference between G and PG.
Right. The parents are there to guide. Yeah, I totally agree. There's nothing sexy, nothing really violent toward in a serious way, but it has some intense scenes and some real. It's like a haunted house kind of ride, so you have to be mature enough to be able to handle some jump scares and some suspenseful moments. And I wouldn't say a 3-year-old is totally there.
And there are repercussions for the characters. Later on in the Jumanji 2 and 3. It's video games, so people get lives, so you can die and come back. But in this Jumanji, when Judy gets bit by the poisonous plant or whatever it is at the end, they have to win the game or she is gonna die.
Right.
You die in the dream, you die in real life. She's gonna really die.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So that's a little heavy for that age, in my opinion.
Right. But again, we've talked about the guidance our parents each had offered, and it was maybe not what it should have been.
In fairness, the Motion Picture Association of America was actively being we don't really know. I don't know. 13, PG-13. And so my parents are having trouble justifying believing in a system that was actively too new to have any like data points for both of us. So like, but maybe watch it first. I don't know.
Yeah, right. If there's any question, like, we're gonna just cover their eyes when the bad parts happen.
Parents would have had to have been there with us. The number of
Exactly.
movies we just rented from Blockbuster without them was like
Right.
astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always ask this last one, which is how was the experience of having watched this in this format? Do you have any regrets?
I don't regret not having seen it when it came out, because when I was in college, I was way too serious about myself and wouldn't have had the fun that I had now seeing it. So I could regret having been like, a dozen years too old to watch it when it did come out, because I think it would have been super fun to see like in the theater as a new experience as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Or even on your parents' brand new surround sound. Like,
the monsters are behind you.
yeah, like a big screen TV at that point was like a player piano. Like it probably weighed 800 pounds.
It was 44 inches.
Yeah. Now I've moved like some old big TVs, and you need like three strong men to just pick it up. And God bless you if there are stairs.
And like, how did they blow the catheter tube for this? It's like,
Right. Right. Well, yeah, and then you get into like the crazy rear projection, like technology, and the thing's putting off more heat than light. Yeah.
yeah. I used to use the back of the TV to start plants. It was a great place to put
Oh,
like
right.
a little
Yeah, I think
seed
that's
in a
classic.
paper towel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Old tube TVs
Because
had
the
those.
fan is moving constant air and it was always hot.
You're right. Yeah, it's like a jungle back there. Nice. So yeah, I certainly have no regrets about having seen the film, and I enjoyed seeing it with you because you kind of were able to like proxy some of the childhood nostalgia for it. But yeah, even as an adult, I thought it was a really fun movie to watch. I've certainly watched much worse movies this year than that one.
And the Keene celebration was a real way to frame it that made it so easy to
For sure.
celebrate and so
For
easy
sure.
to engage with, and so much
Yeah.
so like I don't want to shit on this. I just want to have fun. And that is
Right.
really at the heart of this particular story. So if you're watching this and you've held out on Jumanji, make a trip of it. Watch it. Go to New Hampshire. Have a good old day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, visit the sites. Yeah, no, I'm really glad I saw the movie before we did the event in Keene, because I wouldn't have had any context. But it was cool to have that like to look forward to, and then to feel like, okay, I get to be part of this now. I'm like part of the community of Jumanji fans. So yeah, that was great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking a chance and going to something so insane and so bizarre and not being like, I need to get away from this crazy lady I married who wants to put an inflatable zebra costume on and run down Main Street. You're quite a good sport, and I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I might have to borrow the zebra costume the next time I referee. It's one of the many ways we get to know that we're the same. We're a compatible weird, and find somebody whose weird works with your weird, and you'll be happy.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
What words to end on.
that's right.
And that's it for this episode. We don't have any real corrections and omissions because we put it together really quick and we covered everything that I wanted. If I messed anything up, please do let us know, and we will put a correction and omission in the next episode, which should be with a friend of mine named Victoria. We're going to talk about a film that I absolutely love. We're going to do another animated. We're going to do a rotoscope. We're going to do Scanner Darkly, a Linklater classic. So if you haven't seen that one, get it put in your watch list and get ready to join us in September for that particular episode. As always, I am at Movie Runtime under all handles. You can find me TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the stuff that I'm putting out. Letterboxd as well is going to be under that handle. If you haven't been checking out This Space TV on YouTube, which is now something that I'm a part of, you'll see me popping in between syndicated shows with little movie tidbits. Do check them out. I've been going on Hey Funny Book a lot with Matt Strackbean, the letter hack, and talking about the film Sketch and the implications of it having been done by the film studio Angel Studio. So if you want to know about all that, If you're on YouTube, you'll see the videos around. You can click on them. If not, go to social media. Come check us out. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about there. Until next time, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And thanks so much for joining us.